welcome to another segment of my show. It's a pleasure to be here today. Today we are going to have a conversation with an entrepreneur here in the Turks and Caicos Islands. And he will discuss with us how he became successful, where he started from. And I hope that by the end of this video that you'll be encouraged to start your own business as well. My guest is the former premier of the Turks and Caicos Islands, one of the former premiers of the Turks and Caicos Islands, Honorable Galmo Williams. He also was the former Minister of Natural Resources as well as Minister of Immigration. He is the CEO of Gillis Enterprises, and he's married to Mrs. Althea. Together they have 4 children and 6 grandchildren. And I selected Honorable Galmo to be on this show because I really admire him. He's one of the first people I met when I moved to the Turks and Caicos, when I returned home to Turks and Caicos. And I've been watching him, and I admire him, despite the odds against him. He has done well. And I think he's a great example for so many people. So I want to take this opportunity to welcome Honorable Galmo to my show.
Thanks, Rexwell. And thanks for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to be in your company. I have so much time for you. From day one we met.
Yes.
I was encouraged by your ego to do well, and not only to do well for yourself, but for Turks and Caicos. From the time I met you, it was all about Turks and Caicos, not about you, and that's what I admire with you. And what I really appreciate more, that we have been friends over the years, and we're still friends.
Yes.
We may not see each other or talk to each other in weeks or months, but every once in a while we touch base. So thanks for having me on your show, and it's a great pleasure. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to tell the audience who you are. I know you were born and grew up in North Caicos, but tell us about that.
Well, I was born on North Caicos, the garden island of the Turks and Caicos.
Yes.
I spent most of my early years there. I went to primary school. I used to be a government primary school back then. Now it's the Adelaide Umla Primary School. And I started out of the North Caicos High School, and now it's the Raymond Gardner High School. That's where I started, and I'm here now.
Yes. I just remember this. My first private accounting job was with you, because I was working, in an accounting firm. Mm-hmm. But my first private job was with you as a company, I think, on a monthly basis.
Exactly.
To check your records.
Exactly.
I remember that. So
exactly.
That was you, my first client, actually.
Exactly. I remember
yes.
that. Yeah. And that's again. And you remember, we didn't have an accounting department then.
No.
And now we have an accounting department with 6-7 people. So
amazing.
God has been good. We've seen the opportunity, and we, run with it.
Amazing. So, when you left Raymond Gardner High School, well, that's what it's called now. What did you do after that?
Well, Drex, back in the 70s, growing up in a single parent home, although my mother, she wants the best for us, but everything was limited. She had 7 of us.
Yeah.
And so some of us had started working at an early age. I did start working at an early age. My first job was at Pine Key Meridian Club. Started off as a dishwasher.
Wow.
But growing up with my mother, always being a cook and liked to bake, and she's really a community woman. Mm-hmm. So less than 6 weeks, I was not washing dishes as much. I was actually assisting the chefs with preparation.
Wow.
And my ego for it, and just looking at recipes and my willingness, I began my career and my love for the business that I'm in today.
Yeah. And so, that's how you started Gillis Cafe then?
Well, because of my beginning on Pine Key as a chef, and after Pine Key, I worked at Prospect of Whitby.
Okay.
And then I worked at Island Princess.
Okay.
And after that, I live in Western New York, Buffalo, with some friends for about a year, and they sponsored me a scholarship where I study in Miami Lakes Technician. Back then, I'm not sure if it's still there, and I did pastry and restaurant management.
Oh, okay.
And after that, I always want to come back home because my mother, I thought I'd have been living in North Caicos. So when I moved back home, it was my intention to go back to North Caicos and open a bakery. But of course, was not enough business there.
Right.
Then I came to Provo, and in the early 80s, and there was no jobs within my profession. But I had to work. I had no choice.
Yeah.
I started working at a Club Med with Theo Durham, actually, doing construction. I still have the cons in my hand from back then.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I did construction for a good 6-7 months. And then the Banana Boat restaurant opened.
Yes, yes.
And when the Banana Boat restaurant opened, I opened it as a chef.
Okay. So when you, that's interesting. I didn't know all of that. So when you started the Gillis Cafe at the airport, that was the first thing you did before you had the liquor store?
That was the first thing. And I'm always sharing with young people in particular. It doesn't matter where you're working or what you're doing. You always do it to the best of your ability. You always be kind, respectful to your customers or to people on a whole. I was working at Banana Boat as a chef, and although I had nothing to do with the front of the house, but I was always concerned that if any of my plates come back in the kitchen half full, not empty, I was wondering, I always wonder what's wrong, why didn't you eat the food? And I remember we had this couple, Gerard Genovese and Anastas, and their wives. They come to Banana Boat every day for lunch. But I always go out there and so how's the meal? Can I make something special for you? Can I do anything special for you? And Gerard, back then, he said to me, the Providencial Islands Airport is just open, getting ready to open. This would be in 83, 84. He said to me, I really like what I see in you. There's an opportunity coming up for a snack bar and a restaurant at the airport, and you should apply for it. And, boldly like you are now, I did apply for it. Had no idea how I was going to raise the funds, how I was going to get the funds, and we started from there.
Yeah. So how were you able to get financing for that project, if I may ask that question?
Well, Drex, the truth about it, and looking back at it now, back then, it was not as expensive setting up a business like it is today.
Okay.
I don't think you probably don't need business license. You have to pay national insurance.
That's true.
NHIP, company formation. You had to do just was trading name. And it really, and I always said to my wife that I'm indebted to her because the little funds I had and she had, and we wasn't even married then. We pooled it together and start off. Probably had a ice box, a small little stove, and me alone worked there for a good 6-7 months.
Really?
And Althea, she was working at Leewood Onions Brochure, one of the architect firm. And on a lunch break, she would come by and assist and help me out. We had one car then, and she would drop me to work in the morning, and sometime if I need to go to Island Pride to buy or be able to buy something, I'll hack a ride and go up, buy like a can of corned beef and one onion, but it keep growing because we put in the hours. I mean, at one stage I was working like 14, 15 hours a day. Wow. But it was something that I was passionate about.
Yes.
And I was not only doing it for the money, because I love and enjoy doing it. So I will work and have fun and we build up a clientele until we start adding people to work with us. And that's just really,
Yeah. So, oh wow, I love that story. So how long did it take you? I know you say you did like for 7 months. So when you started hiring your first set of staff, how long was that?
I'll say it was 6-7 months after.
And then you just
we took on one person. Like I had a guy who was to help me in the kitchen, and then so he's more in the kitchen helping me, and then I took on someone helping us in the front, and then probably with a year time we had like 3 people.
Okay. And when did you move from the same? Because I know you were not there all the time.
The truth about it, and I was thinking about it, I probably only moved from the scene probably would have been in the, I got in politics in 2003, would have been like 18.
18.
Yeah. Prior to that, I still was pulling a shift.
All right. I have a confession to make. When I first came home in 91, I think I hang out with you guys
At the airport.
At the airport.
That used to be the place.
Yeah, and I never drink a beer in my life.
Wow.
In college, I didn't drink a beer, and you offer me a beer.
Uh-huh.
And, I taste the beer, and I don't like the beer. And I went outside and I threw the beer in the garbage. And you say, Drax, you already finished the beer? I say, yeah, I already finished. Here, take another one. I said, oh, no. They give me another beer? So that was so nice. I have to tell you that. But anyway, but you were a generous guy, too. Because you just give it to me, You didn't charge me. You just say, Drax, take a beer.
Yes, back then, that what it was like. All of us, you came from Cellar, some other guys from Grand Turks, Key, North Caicos, and the cafe was like our spot where we feel like we could have had serious conversation, and good talks and honest talks.
Yes.
And I look at a lot of the guys who we hang out with back then. They went on and do very well.
They did.
Carl Simmons, the Mike went to be premier, and the list goes on. I mean, it was like. And everybody hanging out back then. Paul Williams from the bank.
Yeah.
Carlos Simons, Hugh QC, who is now, it was a spot that everyone, it doesn't matter their job title or the business they're into, the education standard, but you could have a good conversation.
Yes.
And that was like every evening, particularly on Friday evenings.
You're absolutely right. But I also made sure I wasn't the last one. I wasn't the first to leave. Because I know the first to leave, they can talk about you.
Well, of course. We will say, like, how come Jackson buy around? We never said that you were tight. We said, how come Jackson buy around?
I know. But it was fun. Now, you also started Discount Liquors, I think it was called back then. When did you start Discount Liquors?
Well, after a number of years, back then, after I think we was happy the way the restaurant was going, but it was boring. I mean, it was not enough to do.
Yeah.
And back then, they had a major liquor store. It was Caribou's.
Oh yes.
They had stores all over the islands, and they belonged to some wealthy Americans. They had a store in Grand Turk, store in Cellar, and store in Provo. But they open 9 to 5. They close on Wednesdays, then open on holidays. And we thought back then there would have been a great opportunity. Just open up rum shop, you call it, and really want to sell 6-packs and a bottle. We never thought that we would have been as big as we are today. And that demand keep growing. Actually, I've always remember at one stage at Caribou's, because we buy everything from them, we never imported. At Caribou's, we probably started buying 10 cases of beer, and then we started buying 50 cases of beer. And they probably really started playing hardball, like upping the price, don't want to sell us. I must admit, probably they might have had a few bad checks from me back then because you really was joking, right?
Yeah.
And then after that, we see like, listen, there's an opportunity to grow, so we start going after distribution. And then we really start hitting the international market, looking for brands. And slowly at the wine cellar, we build up a team, like Anthony Garland and a few others who have been out for a long time. And we just keep on growing from strength to strength.
Yeah. So for the distributors, does that mean that it is exclusive for you to sell those drinks?
Well, what happened, but let me back up. So we started the wine cellar, right? Discount Liquors back then. And then after that, and Leewood, I don't remember Leewood, Gillis at Leewood.
Of course I remember Gillis.
They had many operators at the restaurant, but most of them would last 6 months or a year. And we was approached by the developers back then, and they 100% equipped the restaurant with everything. Give us very, very good deal because they see what we have done and what we are doing. So they say, we need you to be here. And we was there for like 15 years until they sold it. But then during the same time, shortly after that, we had the opportunity, the banana boat where I started. We ran that for a while.
You did?
Yeah, we ran banana boat for like 4 years.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so we had, at one stage, we had 3 restaurants and a wine cellar. And I find time to do part-time real estate with Moss and Harris Realty. It's with Bob Joe and Karen Wake.
Yes.
So I was, I was busy.
Wow, that is incredible.
But back then, you just see, and I've always want to be a part of what's happening, and Providencial Islands in particular, Turks and Caicos on a whole, and that's why I'm always saying, do not stay stagnant. You must keep on moving. Now that was yesterday. But my advice today will be different
Oh, really?
because I don't think today more business necessarily means more money.
Elaborate on that. What do you mean by
Okay.
that? I know what you're saying. You're right. But
Well, and I know it's, when I say it, people say, well, Gilly, you have multiple business. And it's true. But back then, our population was smaller.
yeah.
The business was smaller, so it was limited amount of dollars. I did all the stuff to keep me busy. But now I think it's, if you could start up a business where you could really invest the time and the effort and build a brand, then move on, rather try and have 3-4 things and you're hardly doing anything right, and then you find yourself running around crazy and just running out of energy, running out of resources, and not seeing the true potential of the business. Now, I'm not saying you should not have more one business, but I think you should, whatever you do, you should really
Put all y'all in it.
really put it all in together to the max until you could build a strong brand, and then you should look at other opportunities. Keep your eyes open to other opportunities.
Yeah. Now you're also involved in Beverages, it's called. And I tell you, I'm amazed with those names that you have. What are the different names?
Well, at Beverage is another company that we have interest in. And we produce all the local beers, the water, the rum, the whole spirit. When we bought into the company, the guy who started it, he had a beer called Turks Head, and the beer was not consistent.
The taste.
A taste. Like you get a bottle today, a bottle tomorrow, and it tastes completely different. Now, coming from the distribution, importing, and being a chef, that consistent. So when we bought into it, we first thing we figured that we have to improve the quality and be consistent.
Right.
And we have achieved that, but then we're still the same name. Although as company is still Turks Head, but it's still the same name and same packaging. So people were still not believing it enough.
Right.
So
because in their mind, they already made up their mind, probably.
Okay. So with a group of young guys, my son and another, Andrew Viker, I shared a story with them growing up, the different phases, the different names we call things, and they was really intrigued about it. And then that's we came up with them like I ain't a lie.
I ain't a lie.
And it's it's a local word view. It's gone to north.
Yeah.
Because grow up in Cellar Caicos and North Caicos, we always going to north, going to south, going to east, going to west. Soon come. And we find that and that's about investing in young people.
Yeah.
You share an idea with them.
Yeah.
And they will run with it.
Yeah.
And it could grow. And so I think the brand is doing very well. It's popular. And what I like more and more about it is Turks and Caicos Islands is taking ownership of it.
Yeah.
So it's a TCI brand.
Yeah.
And we just happen to be the host of the brand for them.
And you know what? I mean, one of them made it on
Ryan and
live
Kelly.
with
Ryan and Kelly.
Yes.
Yeah.
What was the drink?
I ain't a lie.
I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
That brand caught my attention. One day I was driving, and I saw this big sign by First Caribbean Bank, and it said "Coming soon." So I said, I didn't see the Tuxbury thing. All I saw was I saw him coming thing. That's what it's called. I called my wife. I said, Joanna, what is this? I saw him come.
I saw reach.
I saw him reach. I said, what is this? Who is this? Who's coming? I saw him reach. Because I don't drink beer, so I don't know anything about it.
I remember you called me.
She said, Drexel, that's a beer. That's a beer that Gilly them doing. I said, it caught my attention. And it was, so I admire the marketing strategy and the local names that you use, because people want it. And when people come in, they want a local drink.
Yeah. But Drexel's not all about me. It's
but you lead it.
Surrounding a team. And that's one thing I do believe in. It's that you can never know everything.
Yeah.
There are people who know more than you.
Yeah.
But you need to have the ability to bring them together.
Yeah.
And to build it.
Yeah. You're right. Now, you mentioned about consistency. You mentioned about putting your all into something. What other things would you advise to people out there in order to make the business successful?
And you will love this one. Record keeping.
Oh, yes.
I think
yes.
Quite often I'll meet with financial institution, and I always say to them, why is it that you're not providing Turks and Caicos Islands financing? I said, well, what is some of the challenges? And they said record keeping.
I can attest to that.
Record keeping. And I always said, if in the beginning when we started our business, if we had proper record keeping, I'm sure our network would have been double now.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
and it's so important.
Yeah.
I mean,
Very important.
you could be in business and think you're making money, and you're not,
Yeah.
because you may have some money in the bank or your pocket, but your receivables,
And your payables.
you know, maybe outstanding, and you're not realizing it.
Yeah.
And then when you think, I have $100 in the bank, but if I owe $1,000,
Yeah.
you
Very
are
good
at
point.
the creek. So if record keeping, and I think it is the most. I think record keeping. And I remember from time you came from school, Rex, and I never understood it back then.
Yeah.
You was always about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think at that stage you used to do record keeping for yourself.
I did.
You know.
Yeah.
And now I do it now for myself.
Oh, okay.
I mean, quite a few years. But I would say, deciding what you want to do and whatever it is you want to do, familiarize yourself with a product. And the product doesn't mean drinks, whatever. If you want to get into real estate, if you want to do whatever, get familiar with the product. Do your business plan, and once you start that, just go into it. But from day one, you start proper record keeping.
Yeah.
You shouldn't. As a record keeping. Now, quite often people said that, it's so expensive, we can't afford a kind of accounting firm, we can't do this. But I'm sure that's an area you could help.
Oh, definitely. It's affordable with us.
Yeah,
you know. But I'm glad you brought that point because, and I'm glad how you brought that point because people look at the money in the bank and they say, "Oh, I got money," and they forget that they owe people money. So that's a very important point. And you're right about the challenges local people are getting from the bank. And one of the reasons is because they do not maintain their records.
And and it's not only maintaining records. Like a lot of time you're selling a product, and you just put the number at your head. I'm selling this product for $1 or $2 or 10 cents, but you got to find out what's the cost. What's the cost of the product? What's the cost of operation? And then you determine what you can sell that product for.
Because you need to make a profit.
You need to make a profit.
Very, very, very good points. So I want to go back to discount liquors. I know you said when you started Gillis Cafe, you and your wife, Mrs. Williams, you pulled your money together. When you started discount liquors, was that the same situation, or you had to borrow money?
Well,
if I could ask that question.
No. In the beginning, I think we started discount liquors for $25,000.
25,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, like I said, back then, starting a business was not as expensive as today. Today, if you probably want to start a business like that, you probably would look at a couple $100,000.
True.
Of course, you're looking at over 30 years ago. So, we started a little rental place from Sam Lebron, a little cash register. And it really, we start small and just grow it. Now, was it challenging? Of course it's very challenging. But the cafe was doing well then, so the cafe did subsidize the discount liquors for a while until that improved. And the same thing for Leeward. The cafe subsidized Leeward for a while, for like a couple of years until that
Things
improved.
get better.
So
what were some of the challenges that you face?
bad management, which I accept full responsible for, and poor record keeping.
So bad management, not having the right people?
No, I think back then, a lot of we grew up wanted to do business, but we didn't grow up within a business environment and a business home where we're talking money management. So again, like I said earlier on, you would see that you're making money, but wasn't a proper record keeping, wasn't proper inventory tracking. And when I say bad management, and I accept fully responsible, because I didn't know then what I know now, to have a proper point of sales, so you could track what you buy, check what you sell, check the inventory you have on hand, so you can know what's going on. And so you end up, making, you allowing things to keep on going, and then you realize you up the creek, you cannot pay your bills, you cannot do this, and you have no inventory.
Right. And you're gonna cash flow. But I think you also were very generous. I think you give away a lot too.
Well, I still do my share, but I think, and that's why I've accepted was when I said bad management, because if you just cannot give away more than you.
Yeah. Because you gave me 2 free beers that day.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a learning curve.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying to a lot of young people today that I like to share with them, and they don't have to do it because today is different.
Yeah.
But some of the pits and the pitfall I've made.
Yeah.
But in my time, you were able to get a second start.
Right.
Today, you almost get one shot.
Yeah. So how many employees you have at Discount Liquors?
In our total group of Gillis Enterprises, we probably got about 175.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's amazing.
But again, and your co-workers, Rex, I mean, I don't, people, we keep on talking about our staff is a most valuable asset. A lot of us say it, and it's only words. But for us at Gillis Enterprises, we more than say it. We really believe in it. And during the pandemic was a true testimony to that. We started about 10 years ago a savings plan where I can't remember exact percentage. Like example, at payday you contribute 2%. The company contribute 2%.
Wow, that's awesome.
And during this pandemic, a lot of our co-workers, including myself,
I was able to tap into that. I like that. I mean, when I was at Cable Wireless, we had a save that you earn plan as well. But I mean, I think that's incredible. And I encourage people, if they can't afford it, to have a savings plan because we don't know, the future.
But you also say you can't afford it. But if you, I think we was 2%.
But we should force ourselves to save.
We was 2.5%.
Yeah.
Employee.
Yeah. So you still match them.
We match them.
Yeah.
And if you do $500 a week, right?
Yeah.
2.5% of $500 is what?
Yeah. 25%.
So and you would that same $25 or whatever, you still will end up buying something that you really do not need.
Yeah.
But imagine in 10 years' time, what could happen?
Yeah. So that's more or less, it's forcing people to save because a lot of us are not saving.
Because we didn't come from a saving culture.
Yeah.
And that's when we thought about the idea. We didn't come from a saving culture. But and I have quite a few of my coworkers, when they was getting ready to buy a property, they had a deposit.
Because of the savings
Because of the savings plan.
That's incredible. I don't think a lot of companies are. I don't think companies are doing that around here. So that's awesome.
And we have a good structure in place because the savings plan, we have it in a separate account, and we have some of the funds invested with our Turks and Caicos banking, and at one stage we're doing very good, and the interest goes to them.
Right, because it builds up the investment, whatever they put in there.
We have some employees who would never touch it, and they look pretty good.
Yeah.
Because you never know.
Yeah.
You just never know.
Yeah.
And I always look at, when you're 65, which, I'm not that far.
Yeah.
And you may, and when you're 65, if you still have a mortgage, if you still have that, you can't retire.
Yeah.
But when you get retirement age, if you have no mortgage, you may get your little NHIP, NHIB, and National Insurance. But if you got a little savings Nash, you could do your little vacation,
enjoy your life,
and still can enjoy your life.
Yeah.
But you have to save today for tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, Honorable Galmo, I really enjoyed this conversation on the tips of being an entrepreneur. This has been an incredible conversation. I've learned, even just sitting here with you, learned some new things as well. And I want to appreciate you for this opportunity. Do you have any closing remarks?
Well, Rex, I must say to you, and I call you once in a while and message you, I think what you're doing, from your writing, from shows like this, it's so important for this period of time. You touch on topic that a lot of us don't like to talk about, but I think it needs to be more conversation about it. And I just want to salute you, and I encourage you to continue doing what you're doing, because it may appear sometimes to you that no one read it, and no one care about it, but I believe more and more of us are reading it. I hope that we can have more of a conversation on a lot of topics that you have written. I mean, I think we are at a stage in this country where we need to be bold, make unpopular decision. Of course, must be in the best interest
Yes.
of Turks and Caicos Islanders first,
Yes.
but no apologies. But we have to make bold decisions. And you have touched on some of the topic. And I wish we could have a conversation about some more because
Yes.
I like where you're going with that. So thanks for having me. And I wish you the best. I wish Godspeed. And I wish you continue doing what you're doing.
Thank you very much. You're one of my biggest supporters, actually, because you always call me up, and I appreciate that. I appreciate the encouragement. I have a write articles, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
My pleasure.